So, I am going to talk about the problem solving task number two. So, the first thing was about kind of where did I go wrong? Um, After reading it for a couple times, I read it, I tried to go over it, I tried to think about it in different ways. And so then the first like three things I really thought of was maybe the first thing was all even numbers would end up facing up. After you go through it for a long time, maybe all of the even numbers would end up facing up, but that would not work because of just how many times people had to go through and how everything would just kind of get mixed up. So that wasn't right. And then I thought maybe it was all prime numbers. Um, but that was also very wrong. It just did not work the right way. And then I thought maybe the last number that like everyone ended on. So like if they just kept going through it, the last number that people would end on would keep getting flipped, and that would be like the only number that would end up facing up. But that was also not correct because things would just end up everything at the very beginning would end up not touched, and that just wasn't going to be right. So um after a while of just getting it all wrong, I decided to do it for myself. So I went through and stimulated what would actually happen on my iPad. I created a grid and put numbers 1 through like 81. I think that's what fit on my paper. Um, and this is kind of what I did. I'll go back, but this is what I did. I did 1 through 81. Yes, so that's what it would fit. And there, as you can see, under each number has a dot. So I decided to go through and just count and stimulate what everyone would do. I knew it was going to take a long time, but I knew that this was the only way for me to truly kind of see what everybody was doing. And so I saw that the pink dots were numbers that I couldn't see. Those were flipped over at the very end, and the blue dots were the numbers that I could see. So when I went back through it, I decided to highlight with the blue color what numbers were facing up. So after seeing that, I saw that all of those numbers were perfect square numbers. So that every time it got flipped, if the number was facing up, it had been flipped an even amount of times because of how perfect square numbers work. So for um 4, it was 2 times 2 is 4. So it was that those same numbers that flipped to get it there, or the perfect square. So these were the numbers at the very end that I found out were all perfect squares. So 4 was 2 times 2, 9 was the 3 times 3, that was that perfect square. It's the same number. So all of those other numbers, it was a different number times a different number to get that answer. But for these, that's how perfect squares work. So um, after knowing that it was the perfect squares from 1 to 100, those were the only numbers that worked. I knew that the numbers from 1 to 1000 would also be the perfect squares. So, um, these were the numbers that would end up facing up because of their perfect square, and I got to 32, I believe it was. That would be like 1004, which didn't work. So it was over 1,000. So 31 squared was 961. And so that's how I knew that it would be flipped over. And it just ended up working. So those were all the numbers that I figured it out. And that's how I figured it out. It definitely took a while, but I was able to get it at the end after just kind of stimulating it and going through it like I would have done it in the classroom. So that's how I did it.